We're back with another edition of The Exchange presented by Confederation Group. Today is Friday. We'll do a little bit of a weekly recap. I'm joined by my co-host, Blake Doyle. And I guess you can get it underway, Blake.
Oh, well, it's a great week. I mean, a lot going on this week. The week started off, the market started exceptionally strong, actually probably unrationally strong, and then they've pulled back. So I think what we saw is a little bit of a bounce in a bear market. And there's a lot of news to be coming out over the next little bit, including PEI, where we've seen the cases escalate of those affirmed COVID cases, one that has been cleared, which is great news. And I think the healthcare system has done a job and ready for this pandemic. It's going to hit. And I think we're going to be much better prepared than what I've witnessed of our colleagues to the south in the States. How's your week? Anything stand out for you?
Well, my week was wonderful. Got a considerable amount of work done considering working from home. So I guess that's good news for you and me both.
Everybody, the economy celebrates this.
Still working somehow. But what's pretty scary, like it's crazy to see how fast it kind of eradicated. And like even on Monday, we had 3 cases and now we're up to over 10. And Nova Scotia is doubling, tripling by the day. So it's kind of, it kind of rings true to home. 'Cause I think it took a while to get to this point to say, okay, now it's real. It's right next door. It's happening in our province. So I think people are finally understanding the vast effects that this can have on our economy and our healthcare system. So it's kind of good to see that everyone's shaping up to what it should be.
Mostly shaping up. Now, one thing that's I've heard reports of a lot of people out at stores, especially, have some grocery, not locally, but some people have been tested for positively for COVID. So I think you're going to see the whole retail environment change. And instead of wandering to the store, it's probably going to be, most people are going to convert just to pick up, and the stores might demand that for protection of their employees. But it's been, it's unbelievable when you look back. This is 2 weeks now that we've been kind of prepping for this situation and how much the economy has changed. One of the great things this week, and I'm sure you'll talk about it, I'll let you sort of introduce it, but I'm really pleased that the exchange was able to motivate the federal government to kind of provide some supports for business. But let me not steal your thunder.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, we had Sean Casey, a member of parliament for Charlottetown, on Wednesday morning, and we were asking him, the government's not doing enough. What else are they going to do? And he said, oh, there's things in the pipe works. So I think we might have fast tracked that for all our listeners. It was definitely our duty. So today, Justin Trudeau announced basically an economic response plan in terms of what he can do for small businesses, because up until this point, it wasn't enough. There's only really a 10%, and then easier to get EI benefits. So today they announced the ability to provide up to 75% wage subsidy for qualifying employers for up to 3 months. So that'll get us into the summer at least. Allowing businesses to defer GST or HST payments and customs duties until the end of June. Another good sign. Launching the new Canada Emergency Business Account to help provide interest-free loans to small businesses and not-for-profits. So there's a certain limit on that, but still to kind of have that available. And then lastly, providing small to medium sized enterprises with guaranteed loans to help cover operational costs. So in total, I don't think there's an actual set number on what it is, but it will be a substantial number whenever businesses start applying for it. And then all this is also backdated until March 15th. So it kind of covers the 2 weeks that the government kind of fumbled this issue. So I think overall it's a very good announcement, and you might bite your tongue at saying that Trudeau did a good job, but I think you can admit that this is.
You know what? No. Internally, we made the decision, and I know not every business could do this, and I don't know that we can do it, but I was confident that in this economic crisis, this is much bigger than any organization can manage. The government had to come out to stimulate this thing. They have to stimulate enterprise to get out of it. I was confident that would happen. So we made a commitment to maintain our staffing. We've dispersed the workforce. One person's in the office, everyone else at home. When the announcement came out of it, the 10%, and we talked to MP Sean Casey about this, I mean, really, that's not an incentive to keep people on when there's no work to maintain. But I think that the 75% is enough to say, okay, the economy will recover. We've got a good team. We want to keep them engaged. We'll bite the bullet. And, I'll give credit for sure. I'm sure there's more in the pipeline. The provincial government is kind of focused more on the individual and the consumer and how it's affecting persons. Whereas, and Trudeau's done that as well, or the federal government, I should say, but this was really directed to stimulate business. Very welcomed and needed catalyst.
Yeah, I think what's important to note, like a lot of everyday consumers probably don't realize the effects of people going on EI will do. Sure, it's great, the idea of having people on EI, like having that support system, but in, let's say in 2 months, whenever the economy it's probably not, that's just a theoretical term. If it does get back on track down the road, why would people want to go back to work if they've been on EI for an extended period of time? If once they leave, the chances of getting them back is a lot harder, or they could find something new to do, like a new job or something. So keeping them employed, allowing businesses to keep the payroll going is much more beneficial for the economy than for just EI. And I think it's important to note that it's in Business 101, it's always cheaper to retain or keep your current clients than to go find new ones. So it's the same for employees. It's cheaper to keep the ones you have than to go find new ones.
So we don't want to hoard, and we're not going to hoard. Do it in the office for when you come back, so you don't have to leave. So you
Okay,
can
I'll
you're going to have some
exactly some stability
you'll have some sustenance.
in my job. So good move for Trudeau on that one. Also, you mentioned that this morning the Canada's central bank made yet another unscheduled rate cut to bring the key interest rate target down to a crisis level low at 0.25%. So has that ever? You're a lot older than me. Has that ever happened?
I looked it up. It's never happened, and I think it really underscores. And I watched the lead of the I forget the title, but the head of the IMF bank was on today earlier on CNBC, and she basically said every global economy is now in recession, and everybody's seeking relief from the IMF, and this is unprecedented. I think that's unprecedented why they had to drop that interest rate today. So, and it's a third unscheduled rate drop in maybe a matter of weeks. So this is it just underscores the magnitude and severity of the situation. That's why it's so important that government step in and act, and they have today in the first measure. And applaud them for doing that because we need it. The economy needs it. I'll tell you one more thing, and I think there's studies. I've heard people talk about this. I've read a little bit about it, but there's a health issue with this coronavirus, but there's also a big health issue for an economy that's not functioning, for unemployment, for if we were to slip into something bigger than just a recession, there's some significant health consequences to that as well. So.
Big time.
Glad the economy has a hope of revitalizing.
Yeah, no, and they're making the right moves to do that, and I think I don't know if it's specifically our leadership, but other countries have done it, and we kind of said, okay, well, maybe we can make a modified version of this and do something similar. So I think it's crucial to see leadership. And we mentioned
when you say leadership, you mean the exchange for sort of
exactly. No, that's what I mean. We were prodding Sean Casey, but I think it's important to note that like you have to be first to act on things. It might not be the right decision, but at least show you're doing something progressive. Don't just sit back and wait for something magical to happen. So speaking of sitting back and waiting, Peter MacKay is not sitting back and waiting. He thinks the Tory leadership should go full thrust. Not a good look for Conservatives that are in support of him. So last night he was on, I guess it would have been Power and Politics, whatever it was, saying like, no, we're going to keep going. Like, I want to keep going. Is it really a health pandemic? So I think it just kind of belittled his thoughts towards what he wants to bring to the CPC leadership. And it's not a very good look when everyone else is saying, relax, like we can postpone this. He's saying, no, there could be an election down the road. He's essentially saying, I want to become leader now. So what are your takes as a card-carrying member of the Conservative Party?
Well, I applaud his enthusiasm. I mean, this is great. He's obviously very keen to get to the finish line. And, there's certainly a time, I think I've seen this in other recent elections, but, there's a time to campaign. There's a time to get stable opposition in government. In fact, probably doesn't matter because the bus split, they can kind of do whatever they want, at least till fall. But I think it is important to have a stable opposition. They should go through a leadership convention. I don't know that this is the right time to try to communicate with Canadians. They're more concerned about their jobs and if they're going to have food on their table. I don't think an election for a convention for leadership for a party is a big issue for anybody. Probably good decision to put it on hold.
I think this Conservative Party said, yeah, let's put it on hold. But he's saying, why the hell are you doing this? Like, democracy's calling, let's go. But I think he's just not really reading the tone of the room, and he might be a bit tone deaf on this one. But sometimes things are bigger than politics, and he might not be proving that for his following right now.
Well, I applaud him for trying to get to the finish line. Let's see. But yeah, I do think there's probably more pressing issues that Canadians are dealing with right now.
Well, especially as a leader, like probably the outright favorite at the moment, or at least the top two. I think it's important for him to kind of say, ooh, maybe sit back and relax, especially since the other favorite, Aaron O'Toole, said, no, let's postpone this. Like, there's no need to rush this. There's bigger things to worry about. And he's saying, shut up, Aaron. Let's keep going.
Well, I think his interview last night probably sealed the decision on what's going to happen there. So
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. Anyways, anything else you want to talk about before we kind of wrap up and let people on their Friday?
no, maybe just a comment on the leadership. In fact, I think somebody else is listening on the last Business Edge. We talked about, or I mentioned, making sure that, in the absence of the premier who's in quarantine, that they need to have strong leadership. They need to have strong ministers out in front of this issue. And we've seen that now all week. In fact, right after the Business Edge, maybe they read it and on Monday they came out. But every press announcement now, they have had senior strong leadership from different ministers of different portfolios. And certainly Stephen Myers has been holding the helm of this, and kudos to him and all the departments who are in new circumstance.
Yeah, and especially Dr. Heather Morrison, like everyone's applauding her. Obviously, she has an important role, but it's also the elected politicians that kind of have to step up. And actually, Matt MacKay has also been another kind of lead person. He's been at pretty much every announcement because of the importance of small business to our province. But also, he put on Facebook the other night that he admitted to dyeing his hair, and it was a picture of Just for Men. So at least he's being honest. Sometimes politicians aren't as honest as they can be, but
Funny. So,
he's admitting that he dyes his hair.
how old would he be? Did he declare his age? He can't be much
I think
over
early
40s.
In 2015, he was the youngest. He was even younger than Jordan Brown, so he'd probably only be 40. We're not going to get into age, but I don't think he'd be much older than 40.
I guess my point is, it has the profession of politics accelerated the graying of his hair.
Exactly.
Occurring before.
I think that's a noted thing that does happen, but or some people come in with gray hair so they don't have to worry as much. But he's doing a pretty good job of keeping like a strong leadership, and I have him on Facebook, so he's frequently updating saying this would happen today, this was going to happen. So at least there's some transparency in what the decisions are, and they're being honest about it. So it's good to see.
Communication's important, leadership's important, communication, confidence, and we're starting to see some of those come together. I think once the economy starts to feel that there's a direction here, what I'd really like to see is a clear direction, that this is the path we're going on. This is the reason we've implemented the policies to date. Here's why we're doing a $100 gift card to Sobeys, and how that sort of fits into a broader narrative and what that strategy is. So today I see maybe some knee-jerk reactions and some quick support mechanisms. I'd like to know what the strategy rollout is and how this falls into that. The other question just on hair. So we've got graying of hair. I think we're going to see a whole lot of people that we didn't realize were gray. He's the first to come out, and probably good for him to come out first. There's also going to be a lot of haircuts required that are going to be harder to get. So that the meeting over the next few months, I suspect.
Yeah, mine's already getting in my eyes, so I gotta be careful here coming soon to make sure I use extra gel to keep it up.
We do have a bowl. There's a chip bowl at the office. We could use that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get your bangs lined up.
Yeah, we just need to go to Walmart and buy a buzzer, and then
they can't get in.
They're probably sold out anyways. It'd be a good time to learn how to cut hair on YouTube. Maybe that's a new business venture.
Yeah, well, I did cut my son's actually a few days ago.
Trim it up, yeah. I think you should stick to podcasting and writing, maybe.
$20 a cut. I don't know. I got 2 people in this house, so.
I don't know if your daughters would like your styling abilities, but maybe they'll get desperate.
What are their options? The captive market. So here's the other opportunity of this unusual situation. A few people, including Jeff Cook this week, talked about what are we going to look like when we come out of this?
Hairy.
Harry's one for sure, but there's going to be a whole resurgence of the gig economy. So those that are exiting the workforce, either by choice, by necessity, adaptive people will figure out, well, how do you play a role in this new economy? And it may spur some economic and entrepreneurial activity, which would be, I think stability in the economy would be better, but under the circumstances.
Yeah, I think people have like the smarter, I guess, more innovative people kind of rise to the occasion, saying, I have a chance to make. They're not to rip people up and say, there's a chance to make more money here.
Or survive.
Let's go do it. Exactly. Yeah, some people, you have no choice. You need the extra income. Right. Or they have hours reduced or whatever the case may be. But it'll be, I guess, we're just at the cusp of it. Like, it's only been a week and a half, 2 weeks since this kind of all came to PEI. And I don't think there's actually a set timeline to say, yeah, back to normal then. Like, the school board announced that they're going to wait until May 11th to go back to school. So, like, that's a long time. If it's that long, it'll be past my birthday, so I won't be able to celebrate that. But we'll virtually celebrate it, I guess.
That's too bad. That's okay. You can celebrate again next year.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing about being young. I guess you always have next year to look forward to. Anyways, but I think, and also I guess my graduation's been postponed or canceled for now. So I will be graduating, but I won't be getting on stage to do it for the time being. But that's okay too.
That's too bad. I've got two kids in grade 6 that'll be missing their graduation. Presumably, we'll see how they adapt to that. And it's too bad. It's a big milestone for you. It's a big milestone for them and many other kids. And how do you, how do you celebrate and acknowledge and sort of recognize that accomplishment? So I feel bad for the kids who can't sort of tick that box off, and the young adults and the professionals like yourself.
Yeah, it's okay. I think some people are a little more butthurt than I might be, but we'll get along. We'll go ahead. Okay.
Here's one thing with this. I mean, you're right. It's been 2 weeks. We've been challenged. People are frustrated with the isolation. I know that there's a lot of smart people working on as far as a solution issue. It's about 18 months probably to get to clinical trials that you can actually implement a drug to the masses. But I'm an optimist. I think there's enough bandwidth and attention and bright people and company focus that there'll be some, if not, if they can't get a drug trialed to market, there's certainly going to be some remediations. I think I'm hoping before the end of summer, maybe by fall. That'll give us some hope that the economy can return to some kind of normalcy.
Stability, yeah. Anyways, well, all we can do is hope now, I guess, and hope that the leadership continues and that the consumers, us, the everyday citizens, get more money in our pockets so we can not see a drastic change in lifestyle and to kind of keep things going as they go on.
But keep it going, not just by shopping at Amazon or Walmart.ca or Costco.
No, exactly.
We got to shop locally somehow. And there's been a call to buy gift cards locally. Do what we can to make sure that we have pretty good Summerside on the board of the Summerside Chamber. We talked about that this week by conference call. How do we support the local business community to make sure that they're there when we come out of this into recovery? So something else to think about.
I think there's been a lot of local support, and I think it will continue ongoingly as people. Well, a lot of it's boredom. I think people are, I can go get beer now, or I can go take out a burger from wherever your favorite spot or something. So the boredom will play into it, and the border you are, the hungrier you get. So that's maybe a good thing for local businesses.
Well, we've got Mr. Noodles. You're going to be fine. So
I've been living off craft dinner and Delicio pizza the last week, so I'll be okay. Don't worry about me.
Well, we've got a couple of good interviews, I think, lined up for next week as well. Mm-hmm. So hopefully people will tune in to catch those. And we're going to monitor this thing. I think the intent, when we've had this weekly podcast, it's kind of been interesting. But there's so much interest in how the market's moving, what leadership have to say. Wind up with this daily until, I don't know, get kicked off the air or run out of airtime money, or I don't know.
I think we have a good runway for now, so I think we'll be okay. Hopefully we can outlast the virus, anyways. But yeah, I think it'll be important. Like, obviously we want to know news and want to know what's going on, but it's important to add some humor to it, because otherwise, what's the point? You don't want to scare people all the time. You want to make people laugh. You want to make sure people are doing okay in this time of kind of worry. But I think we're doing a pretty good job of doing that, and our guests next week will do an even better job of bringing some humor to the situation.
I'm more confident at week's end about the direction we're heading and some of the, I guess, the steps I'm seeing being taken. And notwithstanding the $2 trillion investment that has gone into the U.S. and $350 billion to small business, like there's some big stimulus on the horizon that won't click in probably till it'll be mid-April. So the end of April, we're going to start to see the effects of that. Just a matter of, can people actually get out and Friday than I did on Monday of this week.
Yeah, no, I am too. Like, even like at the first, there's a little more stress when there's zero income. It's like, oh, okay, like let's figure out a way to combat this, especially with every business kind of in hibernation. But now it's a little more, I think by Monday, it'll be a little more, not relaxed, but it'll be more, you won't be losing as much sleep over it. And you can kind of strategize, repivot, replan for the next couple months kind of thing. And anyways,
quarantine, so we can.
Exactly. We'll see him live. We'll see him live after that. Anyways, I think that's kind of a good spot to end, and we'll let people on their way. I'll let you go on your way. I know you probably have a house full of kids getting hungry. It's soon supper time here too.
Yeah, the people tend to get more hungry the more they're around.
Exactly. The more they're there, the hungrier they get. Anyways, this has been a weekly recap of the exchange presented by Confederation Group, joined by my co-host Blake Doyle. I'm Sam MacPhail, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Have a good week.